Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Blizzard Watch podcast. I'm your host, Joe Perez, one of several folks from the site that happens to do this show weekly. Hi, welcome back. I'm joined by my boss, Liz Harper. How you doing, Liz?
Hello, and don't think I don't notice when you tell people to bother me in the podcast, in Lore Watch. I see you over there, Joe.
Oh, I know, but you can't stop me. Laughing with me in the background, joining us again is our friend Corey. Hello, Corey.
Hello. I'm confused. I thought I was your boss. Am I not?
No, you can never be my boss, Corey.
Oh. Wow. This has just been a day full of disappointments.
And also joining us is another sort of boss, Phil. How you doing, Phil?
I'm only your boss twice a week for a couple hours at a time. Is Corey my boss?
Well, friends, regardless of boss, we're going to go ahead and get into some wonderful news around the game sphere here, starting with World of Warcraft, because we all currently play that here. We mostly all currently play that here. So we got news of the next patch, 11.2, which is Ghosts of Koresh. Surprising literally no one, as I believe everybody has called this for probably since before this current expansion was released. There's a bunch of stuff that that's coming with it, and figure we'll talk about it a little bit. Obviously, we're going to be going to Koresh. It's the ethereal homeworld. So again, I don't think anybody was surprised by that, right?
No, everything I saw pointed right to it.
Yeah, I can only think of one person who's surprised. I think I would have to go back and find it, but I think Christian said that Koresh was, quote, just a big fake out and did not think we would be going there. So, jokes on him if so.
So sometimes the duck is actually a duck.
Yep.
So we're going to get to go see the Void-Torn World of Koresh, which a lot of folks are excited about. We've been waiting for that for a while. And what I think is the most interesting part of it, or at least one of the most interesting parts of this, is we know that we're going to have a new city or hub to mess around with, except it's an old new city. Tazavesh, the Veiled Market, will be our base of operations because the brokers have just decided, like, hey, let's just move this thing. That seems fine. So I'm kind of excited about that.
I want to know if it'll have an entrance to the Mega Dungeon, or if you'll still have to go back through Shadowlands to go get your ethereal farming on.
Phasing tells me you'll probably have a teleport back to the old one or something.
Yeah, oh, that'd be so weird. All right, we need to go to Tazavesh, but not this Tazavesh, the other one.
Is that really the weirdest thing we would have done in WoW at this point?
Surely,
okay, no, not really.
Just think of how many dollar ends exist or don't exist anymore.
0. Ha! Got him.
Unless you're doing time walking, and then.
But I am very interested to see this because they definitely already had some of this like groundwork and work for this. Because if you've ever done the Mega Dungeon and you clicked in the wrong place during the first boss fight, you've discovered that Tazavesh has working bankers, even as a dungeon.
Yeah.
And gone, oh god, get this bank UI out of my place. This robot with 4 arms is trying to turn me into confetti.
I may be misremembering, but I thought during one of the interviews way back when, I thought they said that they originally had considered having Tazavesh as like the hub city instead of Orboros. So
I wouldn't have minded that, although it'd be a little more interesting than just that other big circle, which, sorry, Orboros, you were not that interesting.
Yeah, Circle Town was kind of boring.
Yeah, and just a lot of wasted space. Like, they tried to send you to places for quests, but whereas Orboros, even as a dungeon, was just chock full of like places to go and people to see, little secrets and vendors tucked in here and there. So eager to see what they can do with it as a city that we'll be experiencing on 2 different planes of reality now.
Yeah, because it does straddle 2 different planes of reality, if not more. We'll see, because, well, if you've listened to our lore watches, you'll understand the ethereals and the brokers. Yeah, there's history there, and we're about to find out more of it. Speaking of which, we did get information that we're going to have a new raid coming, which is the Manaforge Omega, where we get a new cloak upgrade. The Rishi wraps, or Rishi wraps, I forgot how they pronounced it. It'll have a renown track with buffs and rewards, and then we can do our cloak will save us. So
one of the things on the renown track is unlocking an auction house in the raid. So, you know, when you get to the raid and you're like, oh no, I forgot to buy mana oil. run to the auction house. I believe that's currently at renown 18 though, so that's a little up there.
Yeah, but let's be
I
honest.
wish
Like,
they wouldn't put the fun things, like the fun utility things, so far back.
yeah, but let's be honest.
Yeah.
The raid's going to be using the auction mount more than they're going to be using that renown track.
Well, I guess
That's true,
I guess it depends on how outdoor Manaforge Omega is. Like, it's worked here because Undermine's almost entirely outside.
At least half of it.
Yeah.
No, the first half. So, when you've forgotten important consumables, you can just go right there and grab them.
Mm-hmm.
It is, if it's currently at 18 in the rep for the new raid, that's actually where it is at the renown for the old raid, or the old raid. I'm already referring to Undermine as the old raid. It's already over. So, I would have liked to have seen it maybe show up a little earlier, and I've complained about this with the Incontinental Hotel rewards. I'd really like those things to be at the hotel so that I have a reason to move my Hearthstone out of Dornigal. I'm hopeful that the fact that some of these things already existed inside Tazavesh means maybe they'll be present there anyway, but I guess we'll find out when we get there, or when one of us logs onto the PTR.
Yeah, and then I guess with Manaforge Omega being the big raid with all the other stuff, I think one of the other interesting bits about that, we did find out that there's going to be a very large boss.
How large is he?
About the size of Stormwind. Or at least that's what they said. I
was really hoping for more of a joke there, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I have one that sort of sounds like one based on other places people put his model. If you put him on Dalaran so that his base is level with the ground level of Dalaran, the tower that the Council of Six hangs out in scratches his armpit. He's a big boy.
Yeah, this one actually, I'm excited and worried at the same time. Because remember the last boss we had that was that big?
Deathwing?
Spine of Deathwing.
Yeah, I was thinking Deathwing. Well, hopefully there won't be a lot of move left, move right, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's...
I've been playing a gnome recently because, we've added these cross-faction guilds, cross-faction groups. So I've been playing a gnome monk. And as a gnome, you spend a lot of time, punching things in the ankle. Mm-hmm. And this sounds like, I'm not even going to be able to reach his ankles. That's going to be so far up. That's going to be like a building towering above me.
I mean, the good news is he doesn't really have ankles. He's kind of all ankle.
Okay. That's a good point. I'll still be able to punch him in the ankle.
Do you think they're going to do the thing from the Throne of Tides where at a certain point you get a buff and you'll just everyone will be giant and on his level?
I don't know, because if they do that, it sort of defeats the purpose of making it Titanic in scale, at least in my opinion. And also that works a lot better for resources in a 5-man than it does in a 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40% raid. Because the other consideration for this is you have to also understand this will eventually be an LFR. And
true,
you have to make the fight in such a way that it is compelling for your normal raiders and compelling for the people that don't have a normal raid and will experience this through LFR. Mm-hmm. And we've seen that they've made adjustments to fights to suit LFR before. They did as recently as, Undermined. But I don't know. I'm really curious. I'm curious if it's going to be fighting through different zones or, how it's actually going to break down. So it could either be really, really good or it's going to be really, really bad. I'm just hoping that it's not a Thunder King fight.
I have theories, but just based on reading things. I suspect we're going to end up with something sort of... The boss I would compare it to more, although this is sort of a primitive version of it, is Alakir, where you were at different levels of the boss during different parts of the fight. Additionally, we know that there is the return of a phase where we'll be using a flying mount, a la Tindril from the last expansion.
Or Malagos?
Not Malagos, because we won't be fighting from there. We'll be strictly travel using skywriting mounts.
Okay.
Hopefully, that says to me maybe we'll be changing platforms, and then you've also got things like the boss throwing entire chunks of dead worlds at you. So maybe we're also going to see a shifting platform mechanic going on. I'm very excited to see what they do with a boss that can tower over most cities in this game.
Yeah,
those chunks of dead worlds had it coming.
One thing with a giant boss is, it's a large scale fight. One thing that has really bothered me in the Galagio is the number of spell effects going on. like I don't know if it's just me or if it's just the fact that I'm using a character model that is now extra tiny, but sometimes I frankly lose myself inside all of the crazy spell effects that are happening. So one thing I'm really interested in the patch notes are that they're making a new spell density feature, or a revamped spell density feature to increase visual clarity of combat and encounters by reducing spell visual effects that do not communicate important combat information to the player. So it seems like the stuff that is maybe not relevant to me, I could turn off and just see the stuff that's like important. I want to get into that circle. I want to stay out of that circle. I need to. Oh, there's a healing circle that I definitely need to stand in because I can feel Joe glaring at me from across the state.
He's gonna get you.
So I'm looking forward to seeing how this new feature shapes up and if it can actually let us, more clearly see the fight, because spell effects are, on one hand, super cool. It's so rad to see like all of your raid mates casting cool spells with big graphical effects. And on the other hand, it's a lot of visual noise that can be distracting or can prevent you from seeing things.
Well, we should find out something about that soon, because the first draft of that actually went live today on the PTR after it updated. So there are two settings. One is I don't have the wording in front of me for the exact, but basically there's one that cuts down on the noise, which I think is equivalent to the one we have today, and that'll only show you, some of the spells, but like, people's pets will be smaller and the flashier spells other characters won't see, etc. And then there's a new one, a newer setting that strips it down even further to what you're describing. Basically, it's like, only show me the things that actually matter to me.
Yeah.
Which is a great help, I'm sure, especially also as the graphical requirements for the game keep getting steeper, but people's computers keep getting more expensive to upgrade. Maybe it will, continue extending the life of the game in another way too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm running on a pretty good system right now, but when you get into a fight that has tons of visual effects and you're in there with 20 players, that can suddenly slow things down to a crawl. And yeah, I mean, anything that can help mitigate some of that would be great.
Yeah. We're going to find out some more about that, I'm sure, as things get closer or as things start going live, especially with those new systems. But those are not the only new things coming. There's a ton of other stuff coming as well. We're getting a new delve, which I think is an interesting choice here. We're going to it's called the Archival Assault. And we're going back to the Azure Vaults on the Dragon Isles, which Princess Kaivexa is going to be this upcoming season's new nemesis. I'm really curious that we're going back to Azure Vaults. I know we basically covered a very small portion of it when we were there during the dungeon. But I'm curious what other things are happening there.
Yeah, anybody who completed the Arcane Mage artifact or Disc Priest artifact is going to wonder why exactly the Ethereal seem to have a grudge against blue dragons, because they're there looting them yet again.
Mm-hmm.
There's less of a grudge than Death Knights and Red Dragons is the question.
Alex Strauss just kind of glares at me, but she still gave me all my quest rewards.
That's true. That's one of those story threads you expected would come up sometime later, and it just barely did.
Yep. There's also going to be a new Mythic Dungeon rotation, as well as a new 3-boss dungeon, the Eco Dome Aldani, and then a new addition for the season, which we were talking about a little bit before we started recording today, a lever debuff for Mythic Plus, which honestly, I'm happy to hear that they're listening to the community. I don't know if Phil, if you've experienced this, but I know I have, and I know that a couple of our other guildies we've talked about this before. There's this, at certain levels of keys, like when you start getting into like 10s and higher, there's a subset of people that if there's anything that goes sideways, like an early like wipe that you can still recover from and still time the dungeon from, or like a handful of like unavoidable deaths or whatever the case is, they'll just leave. They'll just drop the group and then go try to list themselves for another one, leaving you high and dry and essentially tanking somebody's key, especially if it's not their key. People will do this. I've experienced it a few times where We've had one really messy pull because somebody overpulled, had a couple deaths, still have plenty of time to time the dungeon at a good clip, and then somebody just bounces. So them putting a debuff timer in for it finally, I think is a good thing. Has anybody else experienced this?
Oh God, yes. It seems like especially it's really bad in certain ranges where people start to think they're I don't have a good word for it. People start to think they're a little more skilled and a little higher playing level than they really are. And I think there's also some kind of like weird expectation that if you apply to a pug group, someone's going to just pull up your Raider.io profile. He's got a bricked key. Reject him, boys. Like, I don't know where this whole attitude comes from, but yes, it does. It's there, and it's not just the timer. There's some. This is also something that's kind of started to come around and come out in the new build. It's literally a badge of shame. Like when you apply to groups in the pre-made group finder, which is the way that you can form Mythic Plus groups for pugs, they will literally be able to see that you leave groups frequently, and the only way to remove this mark of shame is to not leave groups frequently, to start sticking around to complete keys. But first you have to get into them. So they've really turned it into kind of a social stigma for the community to act on, which is probably even more effective than like a 30-minute deserter debuff like the heroic queues get.
Yeah,
I just want to know what's going to stop someone from, rather than just dropping, they'll try and force the group to stop by, so you pull big and the group wipes and you don't recover. We've all been there. And then your shaman friend decides, you know what, this isn't going to happen. Your shaman pug, sorry, not your friend, and decides this isn't going to happen, and he's just going to sit at the entrance to the dungeon or wherever you respawn, and then so you're down a person, but he doesn't leave yet.
That's what
I want to know
for.
if there's
Yep. The other aspect of this is that the way to get out without a penalty, there will be some of that, and I'm sure they'll have to find some way to act on this, because the way you can leave without the debuff is for the rest of the group to vote that the dungeon is over. So I'm sure that unfortunately there probably will be a rise of that behavior by people trying to avoid this debuff. So hopefully this doesn't backfire and create a more toxic group of leavers, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah,
something is better than nothing for sure.
Yeah, something that like gives you some form of actionability, because like I'm still staring at the 12 workshop we could have easily timed that got bricked because the person decided they wanted to leave after like 2 people died on like the hallway pull. Like, come on. But yeah, that rotation also, we do know what dungeons are going to be in that rotation, not just this new feature. So we're going to have the Ecodome Eldani, the Dawnbreaker is coming back for better or for worse. Arikara, City of Echoes, I can hear a bunch of groans happening across everywhere for that one. Priory of Sacred Flame, Operation Floodgate, Halls of Atonement from the Shadowlands will be coming into this rotation. And then both sides of Tazavesh will be here, which I think is actually pretty dope.
It makes so much sense considering the expansion theme.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So we'll get to see what that season looks like very, very soon. And then not just for Mythic Dungeons, but we are going to be doing stuff with domes with our good friend Venari, because we're going to have Ecological Succession, where we are trying to essentially bring Koresh back to life. Remember, if you've been playing long enough, you've gone to Outlands, you've seen the ecodomes that the Ethereals have put up in Netherstorm. I almost forgot the name of the zone. Yeah, look at me.
It has been close to 20 years.
It has been close to 20 years. So if you've ever wondered how they do that, well, we're going to do that. And it's not the Ethereals that are doing it. It's Venari that's doing it, which go back and listen to our podcast about lore walking, because that will make a whole lot more sense to you if it doesn't make sense to you now. But the Ethereals and the brokers are very much tied up together. So it's cool. I think that's a really neat little idea for a system. You're basically making your own little ecological domes and saving wildlife and there's a vague air of criminality to it, which I think you would kind of expect with Venari, because you're going to be stealing wildlife from other places to bring to these ecodomes.
Yeah, I believe I've seen a screenshot of someone stealing a bee from Coltiris.
You're just borrowing them with no intention of bringing them back. It's probably fine.
Mhm.
The secret ingredient
Is
is
there a word for
crime.
that?
Look, at least you know you're only going to have to steal 2 rabbits, and they'll do the rest for you.
I mean, I'm actually really interested in how this in particular shakes up. Am I going to be going on a worldwide quest to find, bunnies and capybaras and everything else? I think this sounds like a lot of fun. Maybe a little stupid, but a lot of fun. Especially if it does turn into like a heisting game where you're stealing things from the zoo or stealing people's livestock, or I'm sure it's fine. Totally
Listen,
fine. No big deal.
If
I didn't even consider that. What if she sends you to like heist the T-Rex from the Surmar Zoo?
I would not doubt that something like that is going to absolutely be called upon.
That sounds so cool. I hadn't even thought about that till now.
And I'm here for it, because if Weird Al Yankovic taught me anything in 1985, it was that I should dare to be stupid.
I thought it was how to spell Albuquerque.
That's later. That was Running with Scissors. Anyway, I just watched a whole Weird Al whatchamacallit biopic, so it's fresh in my brain. Anyway, but yeah, no, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for something like this too, because while it may be stupid, it also feels like your character potentially is doing something worthwhile. Like, how often can we say our characters have done something to leave a place better than we found it, right?
That's true.
Pretty rarely.
Which, to be fair, kind of make me question what Venari's motive is in all this.
100%.
Well, because we're stocking an ecodome full of rare animals that will probably make more of those rare animals, and you could probably sell those.
Yeah.
Well,
no, Venari seems pretty on the up and up. I'm sure we can trust her.
Yes, if that's one thing I thought about Venari, it was this lady's completely trustworthy.
truly trustworthy. Well, I think that does it for the patch notes, and we have some other stuff happening down the pipeline here too. Midnight is coming to Gamescom, which is happening from August 20th to August 24th, which is going to have news, updates, and air quote surprises from the dev team, with lots of eyeballs and air quotes here, with follow-up social media posts by devs, including Anne Stickney. You might recognize them.
Yeah, Anne said we can't handle this on Bluesky, and I'm like, no, I think we can handle this. We're ready. We're ready for this one. We're excited.
In fact, Anne, if you're listening, probably the best way to test whether we can or can't handle this is perhaps to let your friendly Blizzard Watch authors in on a little bit of what's going on. Just
but that's not the game. The game is we have to figure it out. But it's not just going to be that. There's going to be some other stuff happening as well there too. So there's going to be a Mythic Dungeon and Arena showcase, a cosplay showcase, and then a developer and creator meet and greet, and apparently much more, which I think is really, really cool. So if you happen to be going to Gamescom, they'll be in Hall 8. There'll be a booth there, and this is happening in Cologne, Germany. And if you're not, just see if you can scope it online. Liz, I think you wanted to say something there.
And of course, Gamescom is one of the biggest game events of the year. I think we all tend to think more about Summer Game Fest and the Game Awards, but Gamescom is massive. So I'm sure we're going to see a lot of other really cool gaming stuff beyond Warcraft.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And we will be talking about it here. Because yes, we will.
Hey, Liz, I could talk about it there. If only you sent me to it. I'm pretty sure that's the budget, right?
I think it's a bit of a commute for all of us.
I'm willing to take that commute on, just for money.
We run on a budget that allows commuting to your desk. Is kind of it's kind of it.
Well, also, I would like to say that the last bit of WoW news we have here is for the Midsummer Fire Festival, which is back through July 5th. So if you're listening to this when this goes live, you got a little over a week. So go and do those. New cosmetic drops, faction achievements for Kaz Algar. Basically new stuff because we're in Dwarf Town or Stone Dwarf Town.
But there are a few new cosmetic drops from Frost Lord Ahoon, so you can go back and start killing him for things you may or may not ever get.
Yep, he's got a new icy weapon. He's got a new fiery weapon. He's got lots of stuff that I probably won't get because I'm still trying to get the Frost Scythe. I think I finally managed to get the Death Frost Illusion a few years ago, and that's the only thing that big snowball's ever dropped for me.
He's got a new crown.
Yes, there's new high res versions of the old cosmetics you used to be able to get from the achievements, or for flowers. I think the hat was achievement only for stealing from the other capital city, but yeah, there's new hot looks for summer.
I'm here for it. I'm here for the transmog.
Of course, because that's what's most important.
It is. Can't win without it.
And now we're going to move away from Warcraft to something Warcraft adjacent, and I'm going to stop talking for a while and shake up Liz and let her go and talk about Hearthstone. Go!
Yeah, we're going to spend the next half hour talking about the injustice of this new Hearthstone cosmetic. No, maybe we'll talk a little while. But, so Hearthstone is adding pets to the game. Now, pets are going to be little cosmetic items. They'll show up in the bottom left corner of your screen while you're playing matches. That's Constructed, Arena, Wild, and Battlegrounds. So any kind of match you're playing, you'll have your cute little guy show up in the corner. He will cheer for you. He will mirror your emotes in funny ways. After a match, he'll show up and commiserate with you if you've lost or hype you up if you've won. You can pet them. You can play with them. They have toys that you can play tug of war with. They are so incredibly cute. The first one they're releasing is King Crush. He is the most adorable baby dinosaur I have ever seen in my life. He is so cute. It is impossible to tell you how much I love this baby dinosaur. But I don't actually love him enough to acquire him, because to get this cute baby dinosaur, Hearthstone is adding a gatcha style random loot thing that the first attempt is free. You go in and it gives you a random piece of loot. The first one is free. The first one, you will have a 0.1% of getting the cutest baby dinosaur you have ever seen in your life. The second one will cost you
the decimal point there, Liz.
Oh, did I miss a decimal point?
Surely you did.
It's
hopefully
0.1%.
No. Yeah, okay. Well, I was wondering if it was, do you mean, did I say 0.1 and it's supposed to be 0.01?
I was really hoping that you meant 1% and not 0.1%, because 1 in 100
no.
is better than 1 in 1,000.
No, but you got 0.1% chance of getting him on your first try, which is the one try everyone gets for free. After that, every attempt will cost you runestones. Runestones can only be purchased with real cash. And on your 10th try, you are guaranteed to collect this adorable baby dinosaur. And all the other rewards. There are other rewards. You can get card packs. You can get hero skins. You can get card backs and signature cards. All of those are really cool things, and I do not care about any of them except this baby dinosaur. So
I don't know. 10 pulls, that doesn't sound so bad. How bad
it's
can
not,
it be?
No. It's not 10 pulls. It's more than 10 pulls. Because if I'm reading what we wrote here correctly, by your 9th pull, pull, you have a 6.67% chance.
But also, the thing is, there are 10 items you will randomly get on each attempt, and they guarantee you by the 10th item, you will not collect any duplicates. You're always going to get something new. So by the 10th, you're going to get the baby dino.
Yeah, so...
But
how much will that cost me in real money?
So each attempt costs, after the first, you pay runestones. Each additional attempt costs more runestones, up to a total of $158 worth of runestones to guarantee that you get this adorable, so adorable baby dinosaur. And wow, that's just...
Can we...
Firstly, it sounds wildly annoying. And secondly, $158? What?
Can we pause for a moment to comment how, and this is where my criticism of Blizzard is going to come in, and if they don't like this, sorry. Not really. How are they managing to try to mimic WotC, Wizards of the Coast, and Magic the Gathering Arena, which has been doing pets and cosmetics exactly like this longer than Hearthstone, but do it worse somehow than Wizards of the Coast. You are literally functionally doing this worse than Hasbro, who is run by a man whose last name is literally Cox. Come on, do better.
I was flabbergasted at the concept of a gachapon that gets more expensive every time you pull from it. That's not how any of this works.
That's obscene.
That is 216 Canadian dollarydoos at the current exchange rate today.
For a pet.
That's too many dollarydoos. It's for a pet, but it is the most adorable. You don't understand. This is the most adorable baby dinosaur you have ever seen in your entire life. And
I don't know. I've dressed my dog up in a dinosaur costume. That's pretty damn adorable.
I don't know, Liz.
Okay,
I've watched The Land Before Time.
He's got a point. Dog
yeah, both of those are fair points. Okay. It's still really, really adorable, and I love it. And unless I am in that 0.1%, I'm not going to get it because I don't have $158 to throw away on a digital pet.
This is one of those things where I just want to like bust down the door and scream, "Can you not read the room?" Like, this seems like such a weird time to do exactly this thing.
And it also feels like you could have made. Now, I do get this is an edition that costs resources and dev time. It is super neat and super fun, but you could have made a massive amount of money by getting it a straight up cash price. Mm-hmm. You could have made a massive amount of money even keeping the gotcha game, but every entry costs a fixed amount. Remember when World of Warcraft first came out with the Celestial Steed, which cost, what, $25?
$25.
Like, so many people bought it. It's like, you could price this at $25. You could price this at $35. You could maybe go higher than that, and people would just buy it. But the way to get this just feels terrible. And your chances to get it with each pull are so low. It starts at 0.1%, but it only goes up to 6.67%, as Joe was saying earlier, based on math the community has done, based on odds Blizzard has posted. It's only that very last pull where you have a really good chance to get it. So you're going to keep doing these things and think, okay, next pull, I'm going to get this guy. Next pull. And you're going to keep doing it until you spend $158, which it just feels bad. This feels terrible.
It's such a weird monetization idea too. Like, I understand, and we've often talked about this, and we understand that games need to make money in order to continue to be developed. Yeah. There's a level of that we always understand, especially when the game is free to play. But then I look at other companies, like, and I'll throw Riot in here as well. They haven't always been the best about it, but even their monetization is better than this, right? Like, yes, it still uses Riot points and that scummy give us money to give you fake currency that will never be zero type thing. But at this point, everybody does that, and it's not. I don't want to say that like it's right, but I'm kind of numb to that portion of it. But even then, like a super high quality like cosmetic skin or pet or whatever the case is like $20-$30, maybe 50 for an epic skin. And at least you're paying the money and you're getting a 1-to-1 transaction, right? Guild Wars 2 is free to play, and they have microtransactions inside of the game for things like, you can do gear drop, crafting items. You can do each expansion costs X number of dollars. And then like you can do things like expand your inventory, expand your bank, and like a bunch of other stuff like that. And it's not perfect, but at least it's a 1-to-1 correlation most of the time. I think they also use gems in that one. But like you at least are in some capacity saying, I give you this, you give me that. And in this, it's I give you this, you give me a chance at that. And that chance of that costs me more every single time. Just seems so weird, especially when people are cutting back on luxury, right?
Yeah, and even in games that explicitly have a gachapon mechanic, which is what this is. Like I've played my share of
Genshin
gachapon games over
Impact
the years.
and
Yeah, Genshin, I lost a lot. I lost a lot of time and money to a game called Epic 7. But like, even in that case, if I drew for something I pull the arm of the slot machine, I don't get what I want. They don't go, okay, cool. Now it costs you twice as much. Like, they've invented a worse version of the gachapon mechanic. It's amazing how bad this is. It feels like they were it feels like they're pushing it. Like, can we get away with this now? Will people let us, make the worst gachapon? And if so, what's going to stop us from doing it again?
Well, Hearthstone clearly had to compete with Warcraft's $90 Brutosaur, so they needed to
But you know what? You gave him $90 and you got a Brutosaur. It wasn't like you gave him $1 and maybe you got a Brutosaur on a 0.1 chance, and then eventually you got the $90. Like,
you give them $158, you get a dinosaur.
Yeah, I gladly bought it because I gave them $90 and I got a dinosaur. It's extremely useful and functional. And I mean, I'm at least pulling it out every raid night because somebody needs potions or something. Like, it's useful and it's cool, and it didn't cost me a varying amount of money. That's completely excessive for a cosmetic.
One thing Hearthstone has had, I think, extreme difficulty is monetization. They have gone through a lot of attempts to monetize the game in different ways. The only one that has really stuck has been selling card packs, which makes a lot of sense. This is a collectible card game. You buy card packs when there are new card packs. You can buy some of them with an in-game currency that you earned by playing, and you can, of course, buy them with cash either in big pre-orders before the expansion comes out or just after it comes out. Buy as many packs as you want. But, Hearthstone has a lot of different game modes, and Blizzard has had trouble monetizing them, and I completely understand that developers need to be paid too. You can't have a game that is completely free. Early on in the game, they used to have adventure modes where you would pay maybe $20 and get a pack of single player missions that you could go through that I thought they had really interesting stories. What they didn't have was a lot of replayability or a lot of ongoing monetization options. Each one you would buy as a standalone pack, and I'm sure they took plenty of development effort. They tried Mercenaries, which Mercenaries was very heavily monetized game mode where you would collect different mercenaries and go through a huge, slow process of upgrading them, and it was fairly punishing. You would go through each mission of mercenaries, and if you failed at any point, you got kicked back to the beginning and had to start over because you needed to have leveled this other mercenary, which you have not been getting the right cards to advance. And so Hearthstone eventually kind of let that one die. It wasn't as successful as they wanted. They moved to a battle pass system, both for the main constructed version of the game and for Battlegrounds. So they have 2 battle passes. The Battlegrounds battle pass has 2 different levels of battle pass, and they just haven't figured out a solution that helps them support the game and is also not just repulsive to players, because this is just gross. This is so annoying. If I want the thing, let me give you money, and I will get the thing and be happy, instead of I will give you money, and then I'm going to be disappointed because I didn't get my baby dinosaur. And then I give you more money, and I'm going to be disappointed because I didn't get my baby dinosaur. And I give you more money because I've committed to getting this baby dinosaur. I have to give you more money, and I'm disappointed because I don't get my baby.
I think
it doesn't feel good.
No,
it's a whole system designed to make you feel shitty.
And sunk costs.
I don't think think it's designed to make you feel bad. I think it's designed to try to squeeze as much money out of you as you can. Can. But this is a side effect of that. Each attempt is going to make you feel kind of bad, but each attempt is also going to make you feel like, okay, I've got to keep doing this until I win. I'm going to be very curious to see at the end of this how many people actually spend that money on it.
Yeah.
Because I cannot think that in our current financial climate that people are going to be dumping $158 in Hearthstone for a pet. I'm sure there are people that will do
Yeah.
it, but I'm sure that number is not as high as they think it's going to be. But
is there anything else new and unique to the rest of the rewards? Like, is there someone who's like, oh, I'd really like the pet, but I'm actually really wanting the new signature card or the new hero skin? Or are these going to be repacks, or like you could get
So
other
the
ways?
so the hero skins are new. I believe the signature cards are new. I'm not 100% sure. The packs are just packs, so they have a value. And to be completely fair to Hearthstone, if you were buying all of these things, each and every one of these things with real world money, you would get close to this. You would get around the same cost. So,
yeah, but
you
the problem is the lack of choice, right? You're not.
Yeah, the lack of choice. You may not want any of that stuff.
Yeah.
You may just want dinosaurs.
Yeah, and I can't help but feel that if they just put it up as a giant cosmetic pack and said, "Here, get this cool dinosaur and all this other stuff for $158," like we might balk at it, but it doesn't feel like they're actively pumping you for cash. It just feels like they've created a price inflated cosmetic.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, it doesn't feel gross at the end of the day. Like, it's like, okay, that's an expensive cosmetic. Games have those. Look at Star Citizen. It's literally nothing but an expensive cosmetic generator. And people still love that quote unquote game. So
I remember when it was going to come out during Pandaria.
I remember when. Yep.
Yeah.
I remember Star Citizen in the mountains. Yeah. So it's like there is a market for expensive cosmetics for people who like your game. There really shouldn't be a market for ruthlessly pumping money from people who like your game in a system that is just designed to do only that. Like, this is, if they wanted to create a premium cosmetic, congrats, they found just the crappiest way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think
I remember there's it's unsourced, but it's Pirate Software, the streamer who's worked for Blizzard, has a clip where he talks about how the Sparkle Pony first Twilight horse cosmetic, or a horse that you could buy on the store, made more money than StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty.
Yep.
That's the flying celestial horse made more money than an entire sequel to a video game.
Yeah, a
third of a sequel to a video game.
That's also the whole other part of that is the monetization for Wings of Liberty was they gave away more copies than they sold. Because if you went to BlizzCon, had a year subscription, or any number of other things, you just got it for free. So yes, it did make more. The Sparkle Pony made more money. They didn't give free Sparkle Ponies away. That's a whole other topic and stuff like that. But this is just. I think we can leave it at
least not till next week.
I think we can leave this as this is gross monetization, and I think we move on from here because I think we've talked about it just enough.
Yep.
I was thinking I could talk about this for a half hour. I got halfway there.
Yeah, we're gonna move on to other topics. Speaking of other things that did not live up to expectations, Overwatch 2. Yeah, sorry. The new season's gonna be starts on June 24th. As of the recording, that is today.
It's live.
They've got a dev update video, no Dino Flask sighting yet, and a very lengthy developer update live stream where they showcased a lot of the little tweaks to maps and showing off the new Atlas map. So like, yeah, it's still going strong. There's still or going, however, there's a bunch of quality of life adjustments happening, small fixes. And then we have the new heroes getting added to the stadium, which is Zenyatta, Junkrat, and Sigma. New maps with Samoa and Esperanza, which we did talk about a little bit last week. Ranks are going to be reset, and map bans for quick play and competitive will be getting updated as well. So, yay!
More than anything, I really miss those stupid Dino Flask videos.
Yeah.
Every time they made me laugh. It's gone forever.
Yeah, it's in the thing that I think, I'm not going to harp on this because I don't want to be super negative after what we just did. Overwatch is Overwatch 1 was beloved, and it did something that, games of that genre were failing to do for a while, right? It had been however many years since a first-person shooter type game of any type had really captured an audience quite like that. Like, we're talking like Counter-Strike Go, maybe, right? And this one, they keep trying to find what the secret to success is for Overwatch 2 and what that means. And I think they're still trying to figure it out. And honestly, at this point, I'm going to say it, just copy Marvel Rivals at this point, right? Like, Marvel Rivals is
Isn't that what Stadium kind of is?
They're trying.
'Cause you can do the third. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they're trying. Like, just lean into it at this point. Just have the cosmetics go back to be one-to-one purchases. Have the battle pass be nothing but like just generic stuff that you can earn, and make it a little more accessible, and go back to releasing content. But also, the thing that I want them to do, which they part of my biggest disappointment with Overwatch 2, that they seem like they're on the cusp of maybe like embrace the damn story and put it into the game. That was the thing that I think most people were like really excited about, because don't get me wrong, watching videos, reading comic books, watching animated shorts, all that's fine. But at the end of the day, when you make us love your characters and you're telling me that the only way I can get the character development is by not playing your game, I don't have to play your game. Put it in the game, make it playable, put that story in, draw those characters in. Like, I just want them to do that. I don't know that they ever will. They seem like they're on the edge of maybe considering it. Maybe they will. But yeah, it's still going. It's still a polished game that is, when you're playing with friends, it's still very fun to play with friends. They just gotta find that they gotta go back to what made them great, is really what it was. So, do you have any strong feelings about this, my friends?
I miss that, like, those first 3 months of Overwatch where it was basically all I played and it was super fun. And, a lot of that is the shiny newness of it all, and the infinite possibilities that were stretching out in front of us. Because they talked about, like, oh yeah, well, we didn't think PvE was going to be so popular, but then, hey, wait a second, you guys really want that? Maybe we'll look into it. And so we were all getting super excited for some story content. And yeah, we got some, but not what we were hoping for in the long run. And so Overwatch 2 could keep doing stuff in that direction, but it has such a long road to get me to come back and like invest that kind of time in it again, that I don't know that it's possible that it can get up that hill unless it debuts a new mode called Heroes of the Storm Overwatch, and then it just launches Heroes of the Storm for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still hopeful that they'll understand that they still have a good chunk of potential for this game, and hopefully they'll listen to community feedback more and more and actually take the pulse of what that sort of market is. And, I will say this, their character designs are, top notch, right? Their hero designs are absolutely phenomenal. I don't think they've made a hero that I haven't wanted to play in Overwatch at some point, which says a lot, because there's plenty of heroes and characters in League of Legends that I will never bloody touch. And there's ones in Marvel Rivals that I think they're neat and they can stay over there and I will never touch them. But I think every single one of Overwatch's heroes is something that I've wanted to play or experience at some point. And I appreciate the level of effort that goes into design and the character balancing that goes on there. But they need to find another way to make me want to play the game. And I hope that they do someday. And man, I'm just looking at the next news item and I really don't even want to finish with this, man.
This is not a great one.
We'll just rip the Band-Aid off here. So the last news item here is we've gotten reports widely reported that Microsoft is laying off a lot of staff at its Xbox gaming division sometime in the coming week. It looks like many of the layoffs will hit the business sector, maybe not the developers per se, but and I will say, please excuse the pun here, it is a developing story. So we don't know a lot of the details about it, but it is widely rumored that they're going to be getting rid of a lot of the business sector stuff, which doesn't surprise me because Microsoft as a company has been pushing AI business tools to all of their subscribers. And if you are in a corporate space that uses them, you have likely had conversations revolving around this. And Microsoft, I will give them at least a little bit of credit for this. They drink their own Kool-Aid when it comes to their tools. And for that, unfortunately, for this one means that things like business analytics is probably getting put into AI buckets. So I would not be surprised if that was the root cause of it. Probably going to be some folks looking for some new gigs in the very near future. So I don't know if anybody has anything to add to that.
No, it's just...
It just sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it just seems the way like a lot of the industry is going. We're in a weird tech downturn as things are in flux. So we'll see. Hopefully, the Xbox gaming division doesn't get hit too hard. And I know that sounds selfish to say, but a lot of the gaming stuff that they've been doing has been really good lately. Like just announcing their collaboration with the Asus, the RX, the Ally, right? The Ally X. That is a really cool thing, and it's right in that market of handhelds, and there looks like they're actually paying attention to what the gaming market is shifting towards. And they have a bunch of game developers under them that are doing fantastic stuff, making great games. Whether you like them individually or not, a lot of these games are just objectively good. And the more of them we get, the better off it is. So hopefully they don't hit the game side too hard. But I think that's
especially since they just gave them a layoff in the last 6 months already.
They did, yeah. Well,
if you want a positive story about AI not creeping in further, it was announced today that the Jurassic World Evolution 3, or where you have the park sim, it got announced a couple weeks ago with the Summer Games Fest stuff. And then there was a little line that they were using generative AI to create scientist avatars in the game, and then everyone jumped up and down rightly and said, we don't want that in our game. And today they announced that they are pulling that out. So there will not be generative AI content in the next Jurassic World theme park creator.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess we could talk about this a little bit. I think that's good to hear because let's be honest, generative AI and all that stuff is theft anyway. So seeing a game company that says, oh, we're going to make this choice and use generative AI, get backlash to go, okay, maybe we shouldn't do that. Even if it's only for self-preservation, I'll take that as a win. All right. Well, I guess is there any uplifting news that we've had this week that we can end on?
I mean, not to bang the Heroes of the Storm drum too much, but with the 10th anniversary that was at the beginning of the month, and I talked about that at length, so I'm not going to go into it too much. But there was a little Heroes of the Storm developer get-together on Blizzard campus. Lana Baczynski, one of the animators who did most of the animation on Deathwing, and has since gone on to become really important at Riot, posted pictures of the meetup, and there was about 200, give or take, former Heroes of the Storm devs, who many of whom no longer lived in California or worked for Blizzard, all came together to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the game that they all loved, and took a bunch of pictures around the campus and had a little party. So that was fun to see. It's not just me who's holding a torch for the game. There's hundreds of people.
There are dozens of us, Corey. Dozens of us.
The real question is, have we found out who's hiding in the server room and continuing to update this game? There's someone. There's someone hiding out and just hacking in new code once a month.
Looking at the picture, nobody looks especially sickly or pale or covered in wires, so maybe they didn't get let out. They were too busy.
That just means they have good cable management in the server rooms. All that means.
True. I don't know.
They can find their way out.
A little rabbit warren.
Well, not a bunch of rabbits, but I will kick it over to Liz for site news.
Hello! Blizzard Watch is made possible by listeners like you. And if you are able to, your support on Patreon means so much to us. And it is what lets this site, these podcasts, thrive and grow. I want to give a big thank you this week to Richard, who joined us at $5 a month. If you join us at $5 a month, you get early access to these podcasts ad-free, and you get an ads-free site experience where you can blizzardwatch.com completely free without ads. If you are only interested in the podcast, you can join us at $3 a month and get access to them all early and ads-free. That's Blizzard Watch Podcast, Tavern Watch Podcast, where we talk about tabletop gaming, and Lore Watch podcast, which is all about the stories in our favorite video games. A lot of interesting stuff. Video games, other bits of nerdery when it comes up. But a lot of interesting stuff on Lore Watch recently. Watching the current happenings in World of Warcraft. But it is your support that lets all of this happen. Right now, our Patreon is a little lower than we'd like at $3,700 a month. We try to keep it up around $4,000 a month. If you're able to chip in, then you can subscribe on patreon.com/BlizzardWatch. If not, I totally understand. Times are tough. It also really helps us if you listen to these podcasts, read the website, or share. All of these things are a huge help to us. So, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to our other podcasts, Tavern Watch and Lore Watch. Follow us on social media. We are Blizzard Watch on Instagram, Threads, Twitter, Facebook, and Mastodon at gamepad.club. We are blizzardwatch.com on Bluesky and Blizzard Watch podcasts on YouTube. So follow us there, share our stuff, comment. All of these things help people find the site, which helps us out. And if you have a few minutes, you can fill out our podcast survey at bit.ly/Blizzard Watch podcast -survey. It will be linked in the description below as well. If you can, that helps us improve the podcast and gives a little information to attract sponsors, which would also really help. So, thank you so much, everyone, listening. Thank you so much to all of our Patreon supporters. You keep us going, and just thanks.
And as a final reminder, please send us questions. We like questions. Hit us up on those various platforms. Hit us up on podcast@blizzardwatch.com. Hit us up in the Discord channels that we have set aside for everybody. And Patreon supporters do get priority. We need more questions for any of our shows. Just specify the show that is for and your pronunciation for your name.
We have been a little light on questions recently. So if you have something you'd like us to talk about on Blizzard Watch, Tavern Watch, or Lore Watch, give us a call. And as Joe likes to point out on Lore Watch every week, you can, if you're a Patreon supporter, send us a message on Patreon with any questions, and I will pass it along.
I would like it noted that I didn't have to do that. Liz did this voluntarily today. I am winning.
I may as well just give into it. There's no point in arguing because you're right. You're right. If someone asks us a question on Patreon, I'm going to do my best to answer it or pass it on to people who can answer it. So send us a message if there's anything you would like to hear us talking about. We'll do our best.
Absolutely. Well, friends, I do want to thank you for joining us on the Blizzard Watch podcast. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.